Okay, here is the T-34 all primed up, the upper hole and inside the lower hole itself. That's the full side that you'll see, and the turret. You'll notice that I was able to actually get the gun in there to take away that stage of having to prime separately, and the barrel still moves, so that's good. So I'll be able to get into those little parts and the bottom of the turret. Only one side of the tracks needs doing, and the engine. Whoops. Okay. And gearbox. So everything's done. I'm just going to show you what I did for this stage. What I've used is the Stylores series of primers. I used 3, well actually 4, there's a black one as well. Grey, white and green. Okay, and what I did first was with the tracks and the gearbox and engine, where I wanted a metal-like effect. That's a slightly whitened or greyed black. Okay, so it's not quite black, not quite grey, which is really good for using on wheels as well for the rubber. So there's only 2 rubber wheels on this, so I sprayed this entirely with this colour, and also the engine and the gearbox with this metal black type colour as a base. And then I experimented with some greens and came up with this colour, which the camera's not really picking up that well. I've done a bit of modulation there by changing it up here and there, but not really. I'm going to do that more in post. Now the main one though, of course, was just and this is the great thing about Stylores, is that's just their white primer with a little bit of grey. So it's an off-white. So that base coat's done. That was just done. Just spray, whoosh, done. Okay, so there's no need to spray primer and then spray white. It's just done in one go. So then I can paint over the top of that, because white's a good colour to paint over the top with acrylics. And then just with a little bit of careful masking, I was able to do the green on the outside. You'll notice there's a strip down the middle here that's been masked. That's because that's where I'm going to install the stand. Okay, so what's next? Well, I need to paint it. So let me just clear this out of the way and I'll show you all the paints I need to do. So quite a selection of paints I had to use. I had to do quite a bit of research to work out, okay, what parts need painting, because this is a cutaway, you're going to see quite a lot. Alright, so there's anywhere from the aluminium from the radiators, you need to have different shades of green for the ammo boxes, the stands, different leathers for the seats, the controls, these oxygen bottles here as well, they have to be a blue. So yeah, I've gone through the whole thing, and I've looked at a good resource for this is actually the 1/16 scale trumpeter kit that's got better colour callouts than the Hobby Boss one. So I went through the whole thing, and so I'll be using a variety of life colour. Okay, I'll use Tamiya's really good dark iron. I like using that for some metal effects, is good, is handy. Bit of the Mr. Buffable Gold for the brass. There's only 2 brass shells to do, and some Vallejo different shades of greens for the different ones. So this is all just internal, with a few little external things like the tow rope and the spare tracks. I'll also use Vallejo the metal colour for the engine block. This is a semi-matte aluminium, which I have had some success brush painting. Okay, it's normally for spraying. This is sort of a replacement for the Alclads, but it works pretty well. So yeah, so that's the next stage. Let's get into it. Basically what I did was I tried the Vallejo Greens and they just didn't agree with me. I just didn't like the colour, so I went down to my local hobby shop and purchased, where is it? Might be on the rack somewhere. Where is it? Can't find it anyway. It's Life Colour. Okay, so it's Life Colour dark green, I think number 1, UA001, and it comes out really, really nice. The benefit of the Life Colour is it brushes beautifully and it also sprays nicely, so I was able to do touch-ups. So that's done. Painted all the parts there. I'll do some oil effects on the spare ones there, and as you can see, as is customary for cutaway, got to do a red The camera's not picking it up properly. There we go. Got to do a red cut, red paint where you've cut. Okay. Might add a bit more to the gun in there. I think I missed a bit there. So yeah, got to add a bit more metal effects. Anyway, so that's that. And the inside, which is where I spent most of the time. So yeah, some different greens for the ammo boxes, and I've done a little bit of weathering, but not much. The radiator's aluminium, rusty exhaust pipe, and not much else really, just the seats and a few of the other components. So they're done. And the turret came out nicely. Okay. Just noticing I've got a bit of a brush effect there. I've given this all a couple of coats of gloss. I don't normally gloss when I do armour. The reason is I'm going to put a decal there, and I'm a bit iffy about the Hobby Boss decal. I don't think it's going to go down too well. So a good gloss coat might help. But also I'm going to do a lot of weathering to the inside, and because it's quite a small scale and there's a lot there, it's better to do weathering with washes with a gloss. As you can see, that's quite glossy, all the surfaces there, so it should run nice and easily. So I've painted the engine, okay, and I have started to weather it just a touch. I've just started some process of adding some washes and so forth. No dry brushing or anything yet, so that'll be the next stage. I've added a little bit of dust, but it's just initial. Same with the fan and the gearbox, which is coming up, and the brakes, which are coming up quite well. Can't really see that too well, but yeah, I was trying to get like a rusty effect, but not too much, and a little bit of dust as well. And for proof, everything else is done. Everything else is painted. So next stage, weathering. My process is going to be, like I said, I've done the gloss coat. I'll try the decal on the turret, and then we'll run a neutral grey wash. I think it's the best colour for the inside to highlight all those details over everything, and then a few little selected washes here and there, like for example on the engine and also on the upper parts. We'll do some selected ones, and of course track washes, and then a matte coat, and then we'll get stuck into the oils to do the proper rendering of colours and so forth, especially with these leather seats, which I'm not happy with, but also to show that wear and tear, and I prefer to use oils for post shading as well. And then some pigments and dust and a little bit of mud flicked up here and there, and it's done. I've started the display base, which I'll use okay, it's just a basic piece of timber I'm going to use there, and it's going to have an easel cut in the middle. So I've got that. I've started to cut that out, and yeah, we'll mount it on the bottom of where that strip of taper still is, because that's clear. That's what do you call it? Styrene. Well, don't take it off, Chris. Okay, so that means I can have a styrene to styrene glue joint. I don't have any paint to glue onto, so it should be nice and clean, because it's going to be clear styrene that I'm having the base on. So there's the weathering on the inside done. Some basic washes and some pigments here and there, especially on those ammo boxes, and I hit those seats with the oils. Moving on to the engine, a bit of chipping and some oil streaks and a little bit of rust on that exhaust. And then to the outside, all I've done there is some basic oil rendering to do some highlights and a little bit of dust effect on the fenders, plus some chipping on the various sheet metal work, and it's all done. And to the reveal, as you can see, I've used a longer base. The other one wasn't working, and it's all mounted and hatches open. So I hope you've enjoyed this little series on the little T-34, and yeah, stay tuned for the next 148 armor build. I really enjoy these little so-called kits. They're quite complicated and a lot of fun. So until next time, happy modeling.